As we learned this week, it turns out President Trump, then a candidate, did know about a payoff to the porn star. His new lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, dropped that bombshell on Fox News, but he said it's not a problem.
If we had to defend this as not being a campaign contribution, I think we could do that. This was for personal reasons. This was the president had been hurt personally, not politically, personally so much, and the First Lady, by some of the false allegations.
Late today, Giuliani put out a statement seeking to clarify his remarks. Giuliani claims it was really more of a reiteration, saying this payment was to protect the president's family and would have been made even if he were not a candidate. Will that untangle the mess he made? We turn now to Wallace Ford. He's chair of the Public Administration Department at Medgar Evers College. Wallace, you heard the former mayor of New York City, the president's current lawyer. What's your view? Is he helping or hurting President Trump?
First, a little bit of disclosure. Not my favorite mayor, certainly, and not my favorite lawyer either. Actually, he may have actually stumbled upon a way that he's helping the president with respect to this whole Stormy Daniels campaign.
So you think it's actually helping?
It could possibly, in the sense that if the argument now is the payments were made to Stormy Daniels not having anything to do with the election, which of course is what, but rather to protect his family. In other words, he would have made the payments anyway, whether he was running for president or not, because he wanted to protect his family, in which case it may not come under the restrictions of the federal campaign finance laws. So, as I said, 10,000 monkeys, 10,000 typewriters, 10,000 years, you'll get Shakespeare. In this case, Giuliani may have actually stumbled upon something that actually helps the president.
So you say he stumbled upon it. That to me leaves open the possibility that this was either intentional or it was just a mistake that's good fortune. Which is it?
Well, no, I think it's intentional in the sense that after he made his initial statement, you do have other lawyers involved here with the president and said, oh my goodness, what are we going to do about this? And the one argument, and in reading about these things, you see the argument that could be made is that the payments were made to Stormy Daniels through Mr. Michael Cohen. All of this was being done not because of the campaign, although again, this is what Rudy Giuliani just said 2 days ago, but not because of the campaign, but because he was trying to protect his family and his reputation and his wife and those kinds of things. So you take it for what it is. Stay tuned for tomorrow.
There was talk that he would issue a retraction, but later we understand he issued a clarification.
A clarification, sure.
Do you think there'll be yet another clarification?
Almost certainly. They kind of like, let's throw enough things up against the wall, see if something will stick. The truth is not even in the room at this point. They're just trying to come up with a story that's sufficiently plausible that perhaps, and again, perhaps the people of the United States will believe him, and perhaps more importantly, that it will deter the special counsel, special counsel here in this case. But almost certainly, Michael Cohen has got some real issues. He's got, as Ricky Ricardo said, he's got some splaining to do, and the president is not in any way free and clear at this point.
So earlier you suggested that if it is the case that these payments would have been made either way, that no campaign finance laws were violated.
Right.
That is the case, but if it's shown otherwise, then this would be a serious problem.
It could be a very serious problem, but they've still got one more card to play, which is that he didn't think he was going to win. And so therefore, since he didn't think he was going to win, any payments he was made were not trying to protect his campaign, but again, trying to protect his family. And actually, there's some real, journalism that's been done about this, that the night of the election, Donald Trump absolutely did not think he was going to win. He was probably the most shocked person in America at the time.
So we do know that Ty Cobb, President Trump's counselor, recently resigned. What does that say about the internal dynamics of the president's legal team?
Well, I am a lawyer by training. I don't practice law. Obviously, I teach at Medgar Evers College these days, but I can tell you it's not a good thing when you have kind of like a rotating team of lawyers, particularly in a complicated and very serious matter involving the President of the United States. You want some consistency in representation because that consistency also guides what kinds of strategies you're going to pursue. Think of it as a basketball team, for goodness sake. If you bring in different players every day, what kind of outcome can you expect? A very mixed outcome at best.
This is such a complex legal situation. I'm not quite sure if it's an issue because there's so many minds here at play. What's next?
Oh gosh. Well, I think one of the main things that will be next really has to do with this question: will the president actually meet with the special counsel, with Mueller and other attorneys in this process, and speak to them? What we know, listen, the Washington Post just came out with a rather interesting article. It said in 460 days of his presidency, Donald Trump has been caught lying 3,000 times. Okay, which is just you have to work hard to do that. And so what we know is that if the president, and what his lawyers know, is if the president's, with all of his braggadocio, says, I'm going to meet with this counsel because I can handle this, he's going to wind up saying something that's not true. If you say something that's not true to a federal officer, that's known as perjury, and that will get you put in prison. And you can ask Martha Stewart about how that works out. Even if you're not guilty of any other act, simply lying to federal law enforcement officers will get you a perjury charge. Now, since he's the president of the United States, what happens next? Then you're looking at something happening in Congress. It could be impeachment. Who knows? But if you ask, the question is what's going to happen next? Can his lawyers keep him from speaking in front of the special counsel? He said today, you saw the clips. He said he wants to do it. And if he wants to do it, he's going to wind up saying something that's not true. He just can't help himself.
What about Giuliani being in agreement with the rest of the legal team? Do you think that Giuliani could be, in the end, an Achilles heel?
Well, yeah, there is this myth that Rudy Giuliani is this great lawyer. He was a bully and a thug as a U.S. attorney in the 80s and going into the 90s. After he was mayor, and he really had a rather dismaying last couple of years as mayor. 9/11, ironically, kind of rescued his career and image. But as an attorney in private practice, he wasn't doing any great deals. He was a facilitator, a deal maker. The country of Brazil brought him in as a security expert. These kinds of things, none of which prepares him to do the kind of work that he's supposed to be doing in advising the president. But what he really is the president's. He's a great echo chamber. Okay, they can finish each other's sentences, I'm sure, as they're speaking about this. And there's nothing that Donald Trump seems to like more than that.
So your expertise is public administration. Could this be preparation for Giuliani's attempt at the White House?
Oh gosh, one of the things that living in New York most of my adult life, I happened to, and I worked for David Dinkins when he was mayor, and it's ironic, when Rudy Giuliani became mayor, he was almost he's like the Donald Trump to Obama, is Giuliani to Dinkins. Did not bring any real class to the office, was very crass and obviously racist in the process. He's 73 years old. I don't see him as a credible candidate for President of the United States, but he seems to be aiming for Jeff Sessions' job as Attorney General, and if you think Jeff Sessions is bad, wait till Rudy Giuliani becomes Attorney General.
And on that note, thank you very much, Wallace Ford.
It's my pleasure.
Chair of the Public Administration Department at Medgar Evers College.